Welcome back to another episode on my channel, guys. Thank you so much for tuning in. First things first, I want to go over some apologies. Number one is I know I've been absent for a bit. Life caught up with me. I'll bore you guys with the details at the end of the video so you don't have to sit through my rant. The second one is a preemptive apology in case I have to change microphones mid-recording. I might finish it all tonight, I might not, and my new mic is expected to get here tomorrow, so we'll find out. Alright, now roll intro. Psych, haven't made one yet. Today we're going to be looking at CC. He's kind of a prominent YouTuber. He has quite a few videos, but a lot of them seem to be in his car while it's moving. Now, I don't know why this is the format he's chosen. His banner on YouTube is even a stoplight, but he doesn't just film at stoplights. He films all the time. He covers a lot in this, so breaking it down point by point during the intro is going to be really difficult, but let's get into it. Look, guys, I'm riding in a car. Now, I paused it here before we even get started because I just need to nitpick at this. Why do people film in portrait mode? Like, just turn your phone. I'm going to add a blur effect. Sit tight. Nope. That just made his face stretched. Nobody wants to see that. Hang on. Why am I back in space now? Alright, I'm going to try something else. Hang on. Wait a minute. Why is it... You know what? This is what we're going to stick with. I like this better than blurred anyway.
Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, wherever you may be. CC here, Chris, from New York, Westchester County.
Oh, that's brilliant. Give out your name, your location, and show your face all over the internet.
It's January 25th, 2019. It's a Friday. And I just want to bring up a couple things for you to think about over the weekend. And let me know. I was thinking about the great ball in the sky, the sun up there, right there.
I'm not sure if you guys see this as a clear indication of the type of person we're dealing with, but I definitely do. He's looking directly at the sun. No protection, no sunglasses, no tinted glass on his windshield, because that's illegal. Directly at the sun.
And I was thinking about something about the firmament and the sun itself. And I want you to follow me on this for a minute.
Alright, I'm following you. Sun, firmament doesn't exist, but for the time being, I'm just going to roll with it. Let's say there's a firmament.
And I also want to tell you about the area that we live in, too. This amazing plane, this flat plane that we live in, this terrarium, if you want to call it that.
No, I'm not going to call it that. It's not that. I was going to go with you for a little bit just for the sake of argument, but when you're trying to say that it's flat, you're wrong. You need to prove that it's flat before you could just say that it is.
Imagine if above our firmament, now remember, if there is a firmament, I don't know, people think there is, people don't, whatever, I don't care.
Obviously you care, otherwise you wouldn't make so many videos about flat earth. And I'm not kidding, guys. I will link his channel in the description. He has a ton of videos, and all of them, well, maybe not all of them, most of them are him driving in his car. And see how unsafe he's being? He's looking right at the camera. Keep your eyes on the road, Chris. I'm just glad I don't drive on the same roads he does. I'm all the way across the country from him in sunny California. And I'm surprised he hasn't been in a car accident yet. Like, I'm waiting for the YouTube video that he puts out where it's actually him actively crashing into the back of somebody. Should go without saying, but I'm gonna say it. I don't wish any harm on Chris. I'm just saying that based on how he spends his time recording videos and how unsafe it is, it's only a matter of time before he rear-ends somebody.
Okay, let's just, in this case, there's a firmament, okay? Beyond the firmament, there's a second sun.
Do you have any evidence of this, or are you just making up crazy things? You've got the crazy eyes going, I see.
Whoa! That's right. 2 of those. Okay? The second sun is actually moving with that.
Moves with what? The first sun? Does it move with the firmament? Because I thought that was, like, in place. Like a terrarium. That glass doesn't move. Unless you move the whole thing. But that's just a hassle. You gotta take your lizards out and remove the substrate. Get all the decorations out. Clean it. It's a lot of work. Wait. What were we talking about?
But on opposite sides. Okay, and it would explain a lot of things to me. Because I would like to know, when the sun goes away from us and disappears in that sky, why there's light still behind me. All right? Where is that light coming from? It's not coming from that. I know that.
So it sounds like CC here just doesn't quite understand how light works and how it propagates through a medium. And his lack of understanding then manifests itself into crazy speak, like two suns. You have no proof of that. You have no evidence supporting that. But you're going to say there's two suns because I don't understand how light can be in two places. The argument from incredulity seems to be very popular in a lot of these conspiracy or fringe communities where I don't get how it works, therefore it can't work, really does seem to fly and perpetuate through as a talking point. And it's not really comprehensible. And I guess that's my own form of personal incredulity. Back to the science, though, and how light can seem to be in two places at once. There are a lot of different levels to the electromagnetic spectrum, and they range from radio waves all the way to gamma rays. Visible light falls into the 400 to 700 nanometer range, and that is then broken into sub-ranges for each individual color. I'm not going to list every individual frequency for every individual color because that's going to take up some time. But as visible light passes into our atmosphere, it is scattered by the molecules in the atmosphere itself. And then as the Earth rotates and gets near either sunrise or sunset, where the sun is lower on the horizon, it will have to pass through more atmosphere just because of the sheer angle of it. As it passes through more, it gets diffused more, gets refracted more. This then allows the light to scatter a bit more than normal, and it brightens up more of the sky. Keep in mind this is in relation to the observer. Sunrise and sunset are typically based on locality, and they're not the same for everybody.
It could be. I don't know. I have no idea. All right? A second sun above the firmament that's reflecting off of this, that's also out there that you'll never be able to see, because if the firmament's up there, it would have to be so thick that you couldn't see beyond.
Let me get this straight. The sun is actually reflecting light from the second sun, which is outside of the firmament, and we'll never be able to detect it because the firmament is so thick that not even ultraviolet, gamma rays, nothing can get through it. Then how is it reflecting off the sun that we see? Now, is it just me, or is this all bunk? He even himself says, I don't know. So he's just making these wild assertions. Also, watch the road.
You know, just like water, you know, I mean.
So are you trying to say that the firmament is so thick that light can't pass through it? If that was in fact the case, that means the firmament, if it was the same density and consistency as water, which it couldn't be, would have to be over 1,000 meters thick. And that's not even taking into account the problem that you have with your second sun outside the firmament penetrating into the firmament when the firmament is so thick that light can't get through. Seriously, why do all these people just talk out of their ass, and how do they get so many followers doing it? I get it. Train wrecks are fun to watch. I sometimes intentionally cause them just so I can watch them. But this, come on. Sorry about that, guys. I let my subscriber envy out for a little bit. Won't happen again.
I want you to think about that for a minute. This guy's going, I hate it when people do this on the highway. This happens all the time on this highway. Anyway.
Holy crap, he's on the highway. He's not just driving like surface streets, he's on the highway recording. He didn't even finish that thought. I hate when guys do this. Do what? You want to tell us or no? And he tells us to sit down and think about stuff, but he just makes stuff up. Maybe if you sat down and took the time to think about what you want to say, you wouldn't say such ridiculous things.
Okay, now the one thing I was thinking about also too is we can relatively find out what the size of the sun is by comparing the shadows. I've seen the experiments done on that.
I can't be 100% sure because he doesn't tell us, but I'm assuming he's referring to the Eratosthenes experiment. That did not measure the distance of the sun or the size of the sun using shadows. It measured the circumference of the Earth using shadows.
Some people say it's a lot closer than you think. Some people say it's 73 miles away, 100 miles away, or even a couple of thousand miles away. I don't know. I really don't know.
If you don't know, then why are you trying to spout it like it's fact? Why are you trying to claim that the sun is closer, but you don't know?
But they've used measurements and they've used calculations to just try to figure out the actual sun.
Maybe if you weren't driving, you could put that up on screen or give us a link to show us these actual calculations that people have done to show the actual size of the sun. And by the way, using that word doesn't make it fact. If anything, it's just dishonest. You want to know a fact that is actually factual? Keeping your eyes on the road is way more safe. I don't know why this guy has a
size of the sun. Now, what I was thinking to myself is, why can't we use the sun to our advantage and actually try to figure out what the size of this that we live on?
It was done back in 240 BC by a guy named Eratosthenes. Quick Google search. That's all it takes.
Is by using the sun, by using the shadows, and by using the properties of the shadows, of trying to figure out how big the sun would have to be in a terrarium for our perspective to see it the way we do see it, where it follows us around and the moon, follows us all over the place, everywhere we go, every turn we make, it's right there, following us, never going faster than it, and never going behind it. It's always just following us. How big does it have to be, or how big is the system that we live in for that to happen? Is my question. I know it's kind of. I hope you're following me on this one.
I don't think I'd be able to follow you even if I gave myself a lobotomy. But if I had to take a guess, what I would imagine you were saying is, how big does the sun have to be in order for it to work in the terrarium that we live in? But we don't live in a terrarium. We have satellites, so we know there's no dome up there. I mean, if you want to measure the size of the sun, get yourself a tape measure, a ruler, and a small mirror. Those items, plus a tiny bit of trigonometry, and you can prove to yourself the size of the sun.
It's kind of complicated. But you should see the skies right now. It's just so bad. Anyway, I mean, you got this milky cloud in the background, and then you have real clouds. I never remember seeing that shit when I was younger. It's so bad people don't see this shit. They just go about their business. Don't care.
Based on the content on his channel, he's going on about chemtrails, which I hate those arguments. Oh, I didn't see it when I was a kid. Maybe you just weren't an observant little kid. I know when I was young, I spent more of my time doing other stuff like school or playing with my friends. I didn't just stare at the sky all day. I had too many extracurriculars or other obligations. Also, contrails, which is what you're actually looking at, have been around for a long time and were first noted as a problem in World War II for pilots trying to be sneaky. So you've had contrails above your head your entire life. It's just with the expanse of air travel and how much more affordable and readily available it is, we have more contrails in the sky. That's just how that works. That's like saying cell phones are a problem because now they're everywhere. And I don't remember seeing them much as a kid. But the first cell phone was invented in 1973. So they've been around a lot longer than people realize. They just weren't as readily available, so not everyone had one.
But I want you to think about that. That's the second thing I want you to think about. I want to tell you how Hollywood is controlling everyone here who watches the boob tube, and how strong they are, and how all they do is they just refabricate everything that they did that worked. Hey, look, if it works, stick with it. That's what I always say.
If you always say it, then why is it a problem for Hollywood to follow the same philosophy? If something makes money, they're gonna keep making sequels. I'm not a big fan of it either. I think some things have been done to death, but it's making them money, so who cares? The only time it becomes a real problem is when it starts affecting the actor's health. Like Wolverine, for example. Hugh Jackman, he could not keep up with the steroids and the fasting and whatnot that he had to do to get his body that sculpted.
For example, like Johnny Carson, okay? There'll never be another Johnny Carson. You'll never get somebody like that ever again. You'll get carbon copies of them. They have them right now. They're there. But they're not Johnny Carson, and they never will be. You can never replace him. But you can replace him with a carbon copy that's not that good, but will do the trick and have people still indoctrinated, okay? It's the same with the actresses and the actors. They'll die, but they'll find somebody who's kind of like a carbon copy of them, Frank, there'll never be another Frank Sinatra, There'll never be another Frank Sinatra. But yet, they'll find somebody who's exactly like him, not as good, but they'll just keep the indoctrination going. Just like they keep the films going. They do sequel after sequel after sequel. And very rarely are they any good ones. I mean, the only one I could think of when I was watching Hollywood that was actually a halfway decent sequel was, I think, Lethal Weapon, if I'm right. That was not that bad. But then it got, after 2, it just got horrible. But, I mean, my point is, well, Back to the Future, maybe. Maybe. I'll take that. I'll acknowledge that. But the thing is this is the indoctrination level. And then they'll put little things in the movies, referring to 9/11, but you won't know until it actually happens. And then you go back and you look at the movie and say, oh shit, those are the Twin Towers,
Alright, I don't think I can take much more of this, so I might cut him off here. There's a little bit left. I'll link the rest of the video, but this is ridiculous. Just because the Twin Towers were in a movie does not mean that they knew they were going to fall. See, this is the level of crap that this guy spews out. He's able to go from one topic to the other to the other. He does the Gish Gallop better than anybody I've seen, and he's able to do it if he's just recording and rambling from his car. I'd really like to have a conversation with this person, like online, where it can be moderated and he can be kept on track, because I want to actually dive deeper into his ideas and not just scratch the surface on a little bit of everything. For example, how do sequels equal indoctrination? Like, those two things are not a Alright guys, thanks for making it through. I did cut him off at the end there because he just goes on about how NASA's fake. He had other stuff he wants to talk about, and it's just more ridiculous assertions without any factual backing, so there's really not much to talk about. Like I said, I'll post the link to this video and the link to his channel in the description because he's got a lot of crazy over there, and it's kind of interesting to watch. Now to my rant about how life caught up with me, which I mentioned at the beginning. So I had originally decided I was going to do this video, and I found it, was really excited, so I downloaded it and I got started. Problem was, then I had some health issues with my bird. He almost died. He was comatose on the bottom of his cage, so we rushed him to the hospital. It was quite a while. It was a few days that he was in the hospital sick and trying to get better. We eventually got him home. He's healthy and happy now, which we're really excited about. But on top of all that, we lost 2 more of my coworkers in my territory. So I've been working a minimum of 12 hours a day just to cover, because we don't have the bodies for it right now. So I'm looking for a new job right now as well, because it's too much for me to cover. And then on top of all that, school decided to start up again, which, I mean, I knew it was coming. So school is kind of the least of my worries. It's just piled on top of everything. It's been kind of rough. And then once I finally got my bird back, everything was leveled out. I had some spare time. I started doing the recordings with my old microphone, and then my new one showed up. I got it set up, and then Comcast decided to shut off my internet. Not for not payment, but because of a signal leak. They claimed my house was leaching signal out everywhere and affecting my neighbors, which, okay, I get it. But they shut me off without a notice. They came to my house one day, saw the signal leak, and shut it off, left a placard on my door saying, hey, we needed your help and you weren't home. Yeah, because you came in late on a Friday while I was busy working and my girlfriend wasn't around, so there's not really much I can do about that. So I called them as soon as I noticed it and noticed that my internet was turned off, and they told me they couldn't get out till Tuesday. So I was offline through the weekend and could not get this video uploaded if I wanted to, so it kind of demoralized me a little bit. Plus, the whole YouTube algorithm not recommending flat earth videos anymore, so I've got to skirt that. It's been a rough couple weeks lately, and so thanks for sticking around and listening to me talk about it. I'm going to try and get content out more regularly. It's just been difficult these last couple weeks, like I said, but hopefully all that's resolved and won't be too much of an issue until I start this new job, which if I do get this job, my schedule is going to be a lot more regular than it is now. I'll still need to be available for weekends and holidays sometimes, but for the most part, he said it was pretty early Monday through Friday, so I should have a much more consistent schedule than I do now. So one more big thank you to everybody that stuck around all the way to the end. You guys are heroes in my eyes. You really are. I know this wasn't easy to listen to, and I will see you all in the next one.